Ethan had never expected his life to change so drastically in a single afternoon. He was an ordinary college student living in a small apartment near the university. Moving in with a roommate was supposed to be normal, maybe a little annoying, but never frightening. He had seen roommates before, some messy, some loud, some quiet, but never one like Zira. The doorbell rang at exactly 3 o'clock. Ethan glanced at his watch, sighed, and muttered, "Finally. I hope this person isn't too weird." He opened the door, expecting another student, maybe someone carrying a backpack filled with books and snacks. Instead, he found a figure that made his heart skip a beat. Zira stood there about his height with smooth, pale skin that shimmered slightly under the sunlight. Her eyes glowed a faint blue, and 2 delicate antennae curved gently from her head. She wore a simple tunic, soft and flowing, almost like it moved on its own. The most startling thing, however, was the way she floated a few inches above the ground, as if gravity was nothing to her. Ethan blinked, unsure whether to step back or invite her in. Hi?" he said, his voice shaky. "Greetings," Zira replied in a calm, melodic tone. But then, before Ethan could respond, he felt a gentle pulse in his mind, a small, friendly wave of thought. "I am Zira, I come in peace." Ethan stumbled backward, dropping his backpack. What just happened?" he asked, eyes wide. Zira tilted her head slightly, antennae twitching. "I communicated mentally. Humans may find it unusual, but it is polite where I am from." Ethan rubbed his temples. "Great, my roommate is telepathic. This is insane." Yet despite his shock, there was something strangely calming about her presence. She did not seem threatening, just different. After a few tense moments, Ethan gestured toward the living room. Come in, I guess." Zira floated gracefully inside, her movements smooth and precise. Ethan noticed how she examined everything around her. The furniture, the small bookshelf, even the potted plant in the corner. She touched nothing, yet he felt a subtle hum in the air, like energy flowing quietly around her. As she settled into a corner, Ethan finally dared to ask, "So, where are you from?" Zira's eyes glowed a little brighter. "I am from the planet Valora in the Andari system. I am here to observe human culture and to learn through shared living experiences." Ethan nodded slowly. "Okay, shared living. That's a lot to take in." He paused, thinking of how he should act. "Do you eat food?" Zira tilted her head again. "I absorb energy from light. Solid foods are unnecessary, though I have tried some for social reasons." Ethan's jaw dropped. "You don't eat? You just float around and glow?" "Yes," she said simply. Then, almost apologetically, she added, "I will try to adapt to your customs when possible." For a few minutes, the room was silent. Ethan sat on the couch, trying to wrap his mind around the situation. His new roommate was literally an alien, and not just any alien. She was intelligent, polite, and capable of communicating directly with his thoughts. He had always wondered about extraterrestrial life, but he had never imagined it would become his roommate. Finally, he said, "Well, I guess we should set some rules, you know." "Normal roommate rules," Zira nodded, antennae twitching. "I am eager to understand your human routines. Please instruct me." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Okay, first the bathroom. I take showers in the evening usually, and, I don't share towels, and noise, try to keep it down when I'm sleeping. I need my sleep." Zira listened carefully, her eyes glowing softly. "Understood. Rules will be followed. And laundry," Ethan continued, feeling a bit more confident. "You can use the washing machine anytime, but separate your clothes from mine. And no weird experiments on the furniture." Zira's lips curved slightly. "Agreed." She paused for a moment, then added, "Though your furniture could withstand higher energy levels than you suspect." Ethan raised an eyebrow. Thanks, I guess." After a moment, Ethan realized he needed to know more. "So, what's it like where you come from?" "Valora?" Zira's glow shifted to a warmer shade. "Valora is a planet rich in light and energy. Our cities float above the ground, powered by solar currents and ambient energy. We communicate mentally because it allows us to understand one another deeply." She tilted her head, studying him. "I am curious, why do humans require food and physical labor?" Ethan shrugged, still a little overwhelmed. "I guess it's just how our bodies work. We need energy from food and, well, we like to do things with our hands sometimes, I guess." Zira's antennae twitched. "Interesting. Physical activity for survival and creativity. I will observe and learn." The afternoon passed in a strange, quiet companionship. Ethan unpacked his things while Zira floated near the window, soaking in the sunlight. He occasionally glanced at her, half in awe, half in disbelief. By evening, Ethan realized something important. Despite her differences, Zira did not feel alien in a threatening way. She was curious, polite, and intelligent, and strangely that made him feel more confident about living together. "All right," he said finally, leaning back on the couch. "I think we can make this work. It's going to be weird, but I think we'll manage." Sarah's glowing eyes softened. "I agree. It will be a rewarding experience for both of us." That night, as Ethan lay in bed, he could not help but think about how his life had changed. His new roommate was literally from another world, and yet he felt a strange sense of excitement. There would be challenges, certainly. He could already imagine some of the chaos Zira's abilities might cause. But there was also the possibility of something extraordinary. Somewhere in the quiet of his apartment, he thought he heard a faint hum, like the room itself was alive with energy. He smiled to himself. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt that life could be more than ordinary. And with Zira, the alien who now shared his space, life was guaranteed to be anything but ordinary. Living with Zira was nothing like Ethan had imagined. The first morning brought him both amazement and mild panic. He woke to a soft blue glow filling his bedroom. At first he thought it was sunlight filtering through the curtains, but then he realized the glow was coming from Zira herself. She floated gently near the window, her antennae twitching, and her eyes radiating calm energy. Ethan rubbed his eyes and muttered, "Good morning, I guess." Zira turned toward him and offered a small smile. "Good morning, Ethan. I hope you rested well." He froze. The mental greeting was still unusual, but he was beginning to feel less nervous. Yeah. "I slept fine," he replied, still a little awkward. Breakfast was the first real challenge. Ethan made a simple bowl of cereal and a cup of coffee. Zira watched curiously, tilting her head. "Do you intend to consume this?" she asked. "Yes. I mean, of course. It's breakfast." Zira floated closer, her eyes examining the food. "I do not require nourishment, but I may sample it for social understanding." Before Ethan could stop her, she dipped a finger into his milk, then touched the cereal. The milk glowed briefly as if energized by her presence. Ethan stared in disbelief. You okay?" he asked. "Yes," she replied simply. "Your food is interesting. Humans rely on complex flavors. Fascinating." Ethan laughed nervously. "Interesting? Sure." He quickly ate the rest of his cereal, still half expecting something strange to happen. Cleaning became the next challenge. Zira moved around the apartment with effortless grace, but her abilities often caused unexpected problems. When she tried to dust the shelves, a faint energy pulse made books float a few inches in the air. They returned to their places eventually, but Ethan had to admit it was impressive. "You could probably clean the whole apartment in minutes," Ethan said, watching her carefully. "I could," Zira replied, "but I prefer to learn human methods. It is part of the cultural experience." Laundry was another adventure. Ethan loaded his clothes into the washing machine, expecting a normal cycle. Zira hovered nearby, observing. Then, without touching anything, the clothes inside began to swirl more violently than usual. When Ethan opened the machine, the laundry was perfectly clean, warm, and folded. "Okay, I did not expect that," Ethan admitted. "That is amazing," Zira tilted her head. "I did not mean to surprise you. I merely enhanced the process slightly to study its efficiency." Ethan could not help but smile. "Well, you did a great job, but maybe leave some things the normal way sometimes." As the day continued, Ethan discovered other minor difficulties. Zira had no concept of human habits like television or gaming. She floated in the living room, observing Ethan as he played a simple video game, occasionally tilting her head in curiosity. "Why do you manipulate this device?" she asked. "It's for fun," Ethan said. "Humans enjoy challenges. It's relaxing." Zira nodded slowly. "Relaxation is understood. Observation continues." Ethan found these moments both funny and enlightening. Zira's curiosity made him notice things he had taken for granted. She asked questions about the simplest human behaviors: why people wear shoes indoors, why they use forks, why they tell jokes. Each question reminded him that his world was strange to someone else, and that sometimes even ordinary things could be remarkable. However, not everything was smooth. One afternoon, Ethan returned from class to find the living room rearranged. Furniture floated in unusual positions and a small potted plant hovered near the ceiling. "Zyra," Ethan called. "What happened here?" Zyra appeared in the doorway smiling. "I was experimenting with spatial arrangement and energy flow. I hoped it would improve the living space." Ethan stared at. Ethan had been living with Zyra for a few weeks now, and life had settled into a new rhythm. There were still surprises every day, but he had begun to enjoy the small wonders of sharing a space with an alien. That Monday, however, he faced a challenge he hadn't fully anticipated: introducing Zyra to the human world outside their apartment. "Okay," Ethan said, glancing nervously at Zyra as he tied his shoelaces. "Today we're going to go out. You'll see what humans do for fun and meet some other people." Zyra floated gently beside him, her tunic swaying as if moved by a breeze he could not feel. "Observation of human social interaction is valuable. I am ready." Ethan led her to a small cafe near campus. As they entered, Zyra's glowing eyes scanned the room. She tilted her head at the noise, the chatter, the clatter of dishes. Humans communicate through sound, and emotions are expressed through facial changes. Fascinating, she thought. Ethan waved to a friend, Mark, who was sitting at a table by the window. "Hey, Mark. This is Zyra, my roommate." Mark blinked. Your roommate?" He looked at Zyra and then back at Ethan, unsure what to say. "Nice to meet you." Zyra inclined her head. Pleasure acknowledged. She extended a delicate hand, and Mark shook it cautiously, noticing the faint glow of her skin. They ordered drinks, and Ethan tried to explain human etiquette. "Okay, and Zyra, you might want to smile sometimes and don't hover too close to people. They get weirded out." Zyra's antennae twitched. Smile, understood. Social space, adjusted. At first, the outing went well. Zyra observed human behavior, asked questions politely, and even laughed at a joke Mark told. Ethan felt a small wave of pride. Maybe this wouldn't be so difficult. But then came the first misunderstanding. A barista, noticing Zyra's unusual appearance, asked jokingly, "Hey, are you from another planet or something?" Zyra considered this seriously. Literal question, honest response appropriate. "Yes, I am from Valora, a planet outside your solar system. I am here to learn human culture." The barista laughed awkwardly, thinking it was a joke. Other customers stared. Ethan felt his cheeks burn. "Zyra, maybe don't be so literal," he whispered. Zyra tilted her head. "Literal communication is accurate. Humor is less clear to me." They moved outside to sit on a bench. Ethan tried to explain human slang and humor. "See, when people say things like break a leg or hit the books, and they don't mean it literally. It's just funny talk." Zyra processed this carefully. Humor through metaphor, logical yet emotionally expressive. "I will attempt imitation." At first, her attempts were awkward. When a man walked past and Ethan said, "He's cool," Zyra replied, "He has low temperature. Physically, he is cold." Ethan groaned. No, cool means friendly or stylish." Zyra nodded. "I see. Social adaptation required. Observation continues." Despite the challenges, Ethan could not help but enjoy the experience. Teaching Zyra about human culture made him notice things he had taken for granted. He explained body language, gestures, and polite conversation. He found himself laughing more than he expected, especially when Zyra tried to copy his expressions, sometimes with amusingly exaggerated results. The next cultural test came when Ethan invited Zyra to a small campus party. "It's not a big deal," he said. "Just students hanging out, talking, maybe dancing. You'll see human social life up close." Zyra floated beside him as they entered the crowded room. The loud music and flashing lights were overwhelming. Her glow brightened slightly in reaction to the noise, and Ethan could feel a subtle vibration in the air, a kind of nervous energy radiating from her. "Relax," he whispered. Just watch. Don't try to talk to everyone at once. Zira nodded, though a little reluctantly. She was eager to learn everything. Soon a group of students noticed her unusual appearance. One girl leaned forward, smiling. "Hey, you're, different. Where are you from?" Zira responded politely. "I am from Valora. I am here to learn human culture." The girl laughed nervously. "Right. Sure. Okay." Ethan winced, realizing the aliens' literal answers were making humans uncomfortable. Then came the moment he had feared. Zira tried to dance. She floated gracefully above the crowd, moving in ways no human could. Her movements were precise, elegant, and almost magical. For a moment, the room went silent. Then laughter and applause followed. Some students cheered, thinking it was part of a performance. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. At least this time, her abilities impressed rather than confused. After the party, Ethan and Zira walked back to the apartment. Ethan tried to explain why humans sometimes found her behavior strange. "It's not bad, Zira. People just expect things to be normal, I guess." Zira tilted her head. "Normal is subjective. Observation indicates humans fear what they do not understand." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. But that doesn't mean they won't like you. Some of them do. It's just learning to fit in takes time." Zira floated silently for a moment, considering. "I will adapt gradually. Your guidance is helpful." The next day brought another minor cultural misunderstanding. Ethan had invited a friend over for lunch, and Zira wanted to participate in human table manners. She observed carefully, then tried to use utensils, but misjudged the force needed. A spoon flew into the air, landing in Ethan's cereal bowl. Ethan laughed so hard he nearly spilled his drink. "Zira, careful." She looked embarrassed, her glow dimming slightly. "Apologies. I miscalculated the required force." "It's okay," Ethan said, smiling. "You're learning. That's what matters." By the end of the week, Ethan realized something important. Living with Zira was a constant exercise in patience, observation, and humor. Each day brought small surprises, misunderstandings, and lessons. Teaching her about human culture reminded him how unique humans were, how adaptable they could be, and how humor, kindness, and empathy connected people in ways that even an alien could learn. Sitting on the couch one evening, Ethan watched Zira float near the window, gently absorbing light from the setting sun. He smiled to himself, thinking about all the awkward, funny, and strange moments they had shared. Life with Zira was unpredictable, yes, but it was also extraordinary. She's going to be okay here, he thought. And maybe I'm going to learn a lot, too. Ethan had thought he was finally getting used to living with Zira. They had settled into a routine: breakfast together, studying, cleaning, and exploring the small adventures of daily life. He had even begun to appreciate the quiet hum of her energy in the apartment, the soft glow of her skin at night, and the subtle ways she made his home feel extraordinary. But he soon learned that not everyone was as understanding. It started with small things. A neighbor noticed the blue glow from their window and mentioned it casually to another resident. Rumors began to spread. Strange stories about a floating girl in the apartment next door. Ethan tried to ignore it at first, thinking people were just exaggerating. Then came the knock on the door. Ethan froze when he opened it. Two people in dark suits stood there, their expressions serious. One of them showed a badge, though Ethan didn't recognize the agency. "Good afternoon," the taller one said. "We've received reports of unusual activity in this building. May we ask you a few questions?" Ethan swallowed nervously. Unusual activity?" "Yes," the shorter agent added. "Unexplained energy readings, unusual visual phenomena. Anything unusual in your apartment?" Ethan's mind raced. He glanced back at Zira, who hovered silently behind him, her glowing eyes calm but alert. "Do not panic," she transmitted mentally. "I will comply as needed." Nothing unusual," Ethan said, trying to sound confident. "Just normal household stuff." The agents raised eyebrows. Mind if we take a look around? Ethan's heart pounded. He didn't want to reveal Zira to anyone outside their apartment, but he also knew he had to protect her. Sure, he said carefully, leading them inside. Zira floated behind him, her glow dimming slightly. Ethan tried to act natural, pointing out ordinary objects and making small talk. The agents moved slowly, observing everything. One agent glanced at the ceiling and asked, "What's this hum we're sensing?" Ethan swallowed again. Probably the building. Old wiring, you know." Zira's antennae twitched. "I can dampen my energy to avoid detection," she transmitted mentally. Within seconds, the subtle vibration in the air decreased. The agents exchanged looks. Nothing unusual we can detect now," the taller one said finally. "We'll leave it for today, but we may return if reports continue." Ethan breathed a quiet sigh of relief as they left. "That was close," he whispered. Zira hovered beside him, glowing softly. "You acted bravely. Humans have unique courage in protecting those they care about." Ethan smiled, though worry still lingered. "Yeah, well, I guess that's what roommates do for each other." The next few days were tense. Ethan noticed neighbors peering at their window more often, whispering to each other. Flyers appeared in the lobby warning about strange activity, and he felt the pressure mounting. Zira, however, remained calm. She studied human behavior carefully, learning about fear, curiosity, and suspicion. Then came the incident with the building's security cameras. Ethan had left Zira floating near the window for a few minutes while he ran to the corner store. When he returned, he found a small crowd gathering outside, pointing at the faint glow in the apartment. Someone had captured her floating figure on their phone and shared it online. "Ethan," Zira transmitted mentally. "Humans are broadcasting our presence. Risk of discovery is increasing. I know, Ethan said, trying. Life in the apartment had finally settled into a new rhythm, though it was far from ordinary. Ethan had grown used to Zira's unusual habits, and Zira had grown more adept at understanding human behavior. Yet both of them knew that living together was not just about adapting individually. It was about learning to work together. It began one afternoon when Ethan noticed a problem with his online assignments. His computer had crashed, and the files he needed for a major project seemed lost. Panic rose in his chest as he realized the deadline was only 2 days away. "I can't believe this is happening," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "I'll never finish in time." Zira floated closer, her glowing eyes calm. "We can solve this together," she transmitted mentally. "Collaboration enhances efficiency," Ethan blinked. Together? How?" Zira smiled slightly. "I have abilities that may help. Your system stores data electronically. I can analyze its energy patterns to recover missing files." Ethan hesitated. He had never thought about letting someone else, especially an alien, interfere with his personal work. But the desperation in his eyes must have been clear. "Okay, let's try it," he said, moving to the computer. Zira hovered above the device, antennae twitching as a faint blue glow surrounded her hands. Ethan watched in awe as the computer whirred to life. Slowly, the lost files reappeared, perfectly intact. You did it," Ethan exclaimed, his voice a mix of relief and amazement. Zira nodded. "Collaboration is effective. Your methods are logical, but some problems are enhanced with additional perspectives." Ethan laughed nervously, feeling a warm sense of gratitude. "Thanks, Zira. Seriously, I don't know what I would have done without you." From that moment, they began to work together more intentionally. Cooking, for example, became an opportunity to combine human creativity with Zira's precision. Ethan would chop vegetables while Zira gently floated above the stove, controlling heat and energy to ensure perfect cooking. Meals became not just food, but experiments in harmony, blending 2 different ways of thinking into something better than either could achieve alone. Even household chores took on new energy. Laundry, which had once been chaotic, became almost effortless. Ethan sorted clothes, Zira used her abilities to clean efficiently, and they both learned small tricks from each other. Ethan realized that even though Zira's abilities seemed extraordinary, human ingenuity and planning were equally important. Together, they complemented each other. Schoolwork was another area of growth. Ethan taught Zira about human logic, science, and writing styles, while Zira introduced him to ways of thinking he had never considered. Her perspective, grounded in the energy flows and patterns of the universe, helped Ethan solve problems with creativity and clarity he had never known. One evening, as they worked on a group project for a science class, Ethan said, "You know, you're actually really good at this. I wouldn't have thought of some of these solutions without you." Zira's antennae twitched in what Ethan assumed was a pleased gesture. "Your input is equally valuable. Human creativity is remarkable. It is a pleasure to combine abilities." Their teamwork extended beyond academics and chores. When a pipe in the bathroom leaked, Ethan panicked at first. Water was everywhere and the ceiling was beginning to drip. But Zira calmly hovered over the pipe, analyzing the flow of water and energy. She guided Ethan's hands as they worked together to fix the leak. Within minutes, the problem was resolved. Ethan laughed, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "See, that's why teamwork works. Even a tiny human like me can fix things with some help." Zira's glow softened. "Humans often underestimate themselves. Your persistence is admirable." Their friendship grew in unexpected ways. They shared stories about their respective worlds, Ethan's life on Earth, his friends, family, and routines, and Zira's memories of Valora, floating cities, and a culture built on light and energy. Ethan marveled at her experiences, and Zira, in turn, seemed fascinated by the complexities and unpredictability of human life. One night, during a quiet moment, Ethan asked, "Do you ever miss your home?" Zira floated near the window, absorbing the soft moonlight. "I do, but I'm learning that connection and understanding are possible even far from one's origin. Your world is strange and unpredictable, but it is full of warmth." Ethan smiled. "Yeah, humans are messy and complicated, but I guess that's part of the charm." "Indeed," Zira replied mentally, "and humans have courage, creativity, and adaptability, qualities that are impressive." They laughed together, a sound of joy that was part human, part alien, and entirely genuine. The next challenge came when the building manager called about a minor incident. The glowing light from their apartment had disturbed other tenants. Ethan felt his chest tighten, another potential problem, but Zira remained calm. "We can handle this together," she said. They decided to invite the manager over and show him that Zira was harmless. Ethan explained politely, while Zira demonstrated simple, controlled levitation and gentle energy manipulation. The manager watched carefully, then slowly smiled. "Well, that's something I've never seen before," he said. "But I can see that you're not dangerous." "Just unusual?" Ethan nodded. "Exactly. We just want to live here peacefully." Zira's glow softened, almost as if she were smiling. Peace is achievable through understanding and cooperation. Through these experiences, Ethan realized something profound. Humans thrive not just through physical strength or technology, but through curiosity, empathy, and ingenuity. His ability to adapt, to problem solve, and to protect those he cared about was as important as any alien ability Zira possessed. Similarly, Zira grew as well. She learned patience, subtlety, and human ways of thinking. She discovered that sometimes the best solutions were not the most powerful, but the ones that considered emotions, relationships, and the unpredictability of human nature. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the living room window, Ethan reflected on how far they had come. "You know, Zira, I think we make a pretty good team." Zira's glow brightened softly. "Indeed. Together we are stronger than alone. Your humanity complements my abilities. Your creativity, persistence, and heart are inspiring." Ethan felt a surge of pride, not just because of what they had accomplished together, but because he realized the lesson of this experience. Human ingenuity and heart were remarkable, capable of rising to challenges that seemed impossible. As night fell, Ethan felt a deep sense of contentment. They had faced minor disasters, external threats, and misunderstandings, yet they had grown stronger through collaboration. The apartment was quiet now, lit by Zira's soft glow and the fading moonlight. Ethan smiled, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But he also knew that no matter what happened, they could handle it, together, and in that moment he understood the true power of teamwork, friendship, and the extraordinary qualities that made humans human. The days following the minor incidents in the apartment were calmer, but Ethan and Zira both knew that challenges could arise at any time. Rumors had spread, Neighbors were still curious, and the occasional journalist appeared to catch a glimpse of the mysterious glowing resident. Yet, amid all the uncertainty, they had grown stronger as a team. They had learned to trust one another, and that trust would guide them through whatever came next. One sunny morning, a letter arrived from the university administration. Ethan opened it with a nervous glance. It was an invitation. They wanted to meet with him and his roommate to discuss a special cultural project on interspecies understanding and cooperation. Ethan blinked. Zira, I think this might be serious. Zira floated beside him, calm as always. This is an opportunity to demonstrate mutual respect and harmony between humans and Valorans. I agree with your assessment. We should attend. The meeting was scheduled for that afternoon. Ethan wore his neatest clothes and Zira adjusted her tunic, her glow soft but confident. As they entered the university conference room, several professors and staff members looked up, their expressions a mix of curiosity and awe. Ethan, one professor began, we've been hearing fascinating things about your living situation. We understand your roommate is from another planet? Yes, Ethan said carefully, glancing at Zira. She's from Valora. I've been learning a lot, and we've been learning from each other. Zira inclined her head gracefully. Greetings. I am Zira. I am here to share my experiences and learn more about human culture. The professors exchanged glances, clearly impressed by her composure and manners. Ethan realized that the same qualities that made humans remarkable, courage, empathy, and ingenuity, had also helped Zira earn their respect. They discussed the lessons learned during their time together. Ethan explained the challenges, from cultural misunderstandings to minor accidents, and Zira demonstrated her abilities in a controlled and safe way. The professors asked questions about how humans adapted to her presence and how she had learned to integrate with human life. One staff member smiled. This is extraordinary. Your experiences demonstrate something important. Humans have a capacity for understanding and adaptability that is unmatched. You have faced the unknown and learned to thrive alongside it. Ethan felt a surge of pride. He glanced at Zira, who floated beside him, glowing softly. Humans are remarkable indeed, she transmitted mentally. Your courage, patience, and creativity are inspiring. After the meeting, the administration offered them a